Welcome to Moments with Marianne. This is your host, Marianne Pastana, and we're here today with special guest, Dr. Ellen Cutler, and she's here today to share with us her ECM method for well-being. So, Dr. Ellen Cutler is a best-selling author, an internationally recognized teacher, public speaker, and media personality. She has a chiropractic degree and specializes in food and other sensitivities, gentle detoxification, and enzyme and nutritional therapies for chronic conditions that have perplexed the conventional medical establishment. This is all addressed in her revolutionary healing technique, ECM Method. So let's welcome to the show, Dr. Ellen Cutler.
Thank you. So great to be with you, Marianne.
Oh my goodness, what an honor it is to have you here and to talk about this. I think it's such an important topic. Right now, there's so many people that are having difficulties with their bodies and they're not understanding what that's all about.
Yes, absolutely. And, every body has specific organs that help them detoxify. It's so critical because we live in an environment, unfortunately, that is more toxic as the days go on and as the years go on. So, in order to really maintain health and wellness and energy, it's important that these organs of detoxification work efficiently and adequately. And it is important in so many ways. And it's interesting, Marianne, because just today, I get very early in the morning because I have a morning routine and I'm always looking at some new updates in science and medicine. And I just read about the amount of plastics and nanoplastics that are in the body that they have discovered, which is quite alarming. Of course, in the article, it doesn't say exactly what they do and how harmful, but I don't think our bodies were made to harbor plastics. So our bodies need to detoxify plastics. And I think probably nobody is free of that because it's in our environment now. And so we're so subject to that inundating our organs and the need to detoxify.
That just sounds just awful how that is. And you're right. I mean, it's something that none of us can really get away from because it's in our fish. I've heard that
Yes.
it's even in some of the birds we eat. So, I mean, there's a lot of different places this shows up. Even does it even show up on like the vegetables and organics?
Well, they didn't say specific, but I know in the past what I have read is that if people do eat fish, that yes, the fish eat the plastics, so they're going to be in our environment, in our bodies. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we're all not, there's somehow all of our bodies have some of these nanoplastics because we're not sure what we're eating and what's completely in it. And one of the things also that's important to note too is that when you lose weight and the body sheds fat, because toxins are stored in fat. So when your body sheds the fat, the body excretes a lot of toxins. So a lot of times people will have some toxicity or detox symptoms. And so and some women and men can't lose weight because they're so toxic. So sometimes what you need to do is help the body detoxify first and then go about losing weight. I have found in my work that is mostly successful, especially for people that have been so frustrated with not able to lose weight. And then when you start detoxifying and doing certain things, and there's all kinds of different ways to detoxify, and you'll lose weight and maintain the weight. It's pretty remarkable, but it usually works. And in my work, I developed a technique called the Ellen Cutler Method, ECM, that is probably, there's nothing like it, Marianne, that exists, because I have been it's been my life. This is what I do. I feel like I do it 24/7. And one of the things that I look at is how the body's detoxifying, how toxic you are, or how the load of toxicity is, where it's expressed in the body, which part of the body, where is it? Is it the cardiovascular? Is it the liver, the biliary system? Is it compromising your immune system? Is it the respiratory system? Is it your skin? Is it that you are always getting sick all the time? Your immune system is just, can't fight any pathogens. You're always one that gets sick no matter what. So therefore, I can find out exactly where, what, how the body's expressing this toxicity, and even trauma in the life, emotional trauma is toxicity too in the body. So I have a very unique way that I have created to see, evaluate, and actually help and see what's best to help the body detoxify. And I think it's important that people do this regularly, if not maybe taking time once a year, twice a year, or something they do monthly or weekly, or things like intermittent fasting is a way of detoxifying. You don't have to do like a intense detoxification process, but it's important because we are all suffering in some way from toxic substances or toxic emotions, and toxic thoughts are all part of it.
Oh my goodness. I'm pretty sure everyone listening is listened to that list that you were just talking about and going, okay, well, I have weight gain that won't go away and my skin's not looking 100% and I'm feeling a little sluggish because I've been losing weight. So, and I know that your method is just so remarkable. Your education is just phenomenal. What is it that you look at specifically when you start looking through your method at each person? What's like the starting place?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. That's a great question. So let's say a new person comes in to see me. They've heard about what I do and they're experiencing, let's say, chronic fatigue. They have some respiratory problems. They have a little asthma and they can't lose weight, or they're putting on weight constantly and it just doesn't stop. What's going on? So there's three parts to my system, and I do it via Zoom, and I do it when people come here or just to see me in my clinic. And first thing I do is look at their toxic load. It's not so much toxic because everybody's toxic. Are they detoxifying adequately? Are they stagnant? Are their bowels working? Or is their skin showing up? So I look at their toxic and stagnant load. And this might be emotions too, like I mentioned. And then I look at where in the body that toxic load is manifesting, where it's located, which gives me an idea, of course, on some of the symptoms they might be having. So that's the first thing. And then I come up with maybe remedies or ideas or diets or whatever that help your body detoxify, and gently, and where it really makes a difference. Not something that has to be done so intensely. Sometimes there are circumstances, maybe that happens, but most of the time it should be a gentle, easeful detoxification. The second part is my work has been in proper optimal digestion. This has been one of the biggest areas for me because if you read my book and you know me, what saved my life maybe 4 decades ago was taking a full spectrum digestive enzyme. And in fact, I just talked about it on a Facebook Live this morning. It's one of the most important things to me. Digestion is key. It's interesting because, Marian, a lot of people come in and they talk about I have chronic fatigue, or I have acne, or I have asthma, and they don't mention their gut. And I say to them, well, how's your gut? What's going on? Oh, well, been constipated my whole life, or I'm bloated all the time. And it's happened for them. They're so used to it, they don't even think of it as a symptom. To me, it's one of the most important. So I look at how the body's digesting, look at the whole gut, and then recommend the best digestive enzyme, a full spectrum digestive enzyme for that. That's probably one of the most important supplements, the number one, and maybe the only one that I'll give. I am not really a fan of taking so many different vitamins and supplements because many people who are not digesting properly have a ton of food sensitivities. And if you have food sensitivities, it's likely you're also sensitive to some of those supplements you're taking if you're not digesting adequately. So that's the first thing I do. So I help with detoxification, and then I help with proper digestion and recommending an enzyme. Then the next part, which is probably the most creative and the most revolutionary, is I look at what are the underlying causes of their asthma, their gut, their fatigue, or weight. What are the underlying causes of it? And what I look at, and I go through, I have a very specific protocol that I look at. Again, see how their body's detoxifying. And then I look at diet and I test all the different food sensitivities. And 80 to 90% of the population, Marianne, has food sensitivities, not food allergies. That's less common. Food sensitivities. They're the most important. Then the most important that I work with. I look at environmental stress, and I look at it all as sensitivities. I look at pathogens, cardiovascular. I look at structure. I look at all the possible factors that could be underlying the cause of these particular conditions or things that are going on. Once I learn that, then I go through a specific technique of clearing. And this is what I do. This is the ECM method, clearing through a specific acupressure treatment, which they can do at home. I teach them how to do it, and I do it here in the office. They learn. And once you learn, the body learns it as well. It becomes part of you, and the body knows how to clear things. It's extraordinary. Like, for example, if it's emotions, clearing these emotions that maybe you've had or traumas you've had for your whole life that you not even know, or even sometimes passed down cellularly through ancestors. It's amazing. If you sat with me in my office for a week, you would be amazed at what I find and what I clear and the miracles that people experience, sometimes almost immediately. So that's, in short, briefly, the ECM method that I've really spent my whole life developing. And I look at anti-aging. I look at, like I said, traumas. I look at the mitochondria. That's important, as well as other areas of the gut. These are all protocols that I've come up with to support and help that are part of the ECM method. So that's a little brief introduction of what I do.
Just about everything there, my goodness. Well, and your work is so important, and it's one of the things I was really impressed with. And you have a quote that I saw on your website somewhere that talks about it's not only what we eat, but also what we digest and absorb. And isn't that the truth?
Yes, I say that, I think, 20 times a week for sure. I've said that because, you can go to the best grocery stores, do all organic, buy all the organic stuff. And people come to me and said, I eat so well. How come I'm so bloated? How come I'm so tired all the time? How come I don't have any energy for my kids? I know I'm supposed to exercise, but I don't have the energy to do it. What's wrong with me? And so much of it is not digesting your food. And, taking an enzyme is so incredibly helpful. It is mind-boggling even today when I recommend it and people say it's made such a difference. It's so interesting, Mary. I've been in practice for, I won't say, you'll know how old I am, but 40 plus years. And I probably have patients that still buy the enzymes that started 40 something years ago. And you can't say that about a lot of different supplements for sure, because they know how much it is. First of all, they know my passion about it. And they know how much it's such a difference in their life. I can't imagine eating a food and not taking an enzyme with it. You know, of course, chewing your food is important. Eating a 75% a plant-based diet is also very important. Something I stress. I'm a raw vegan actually, and I've been that way for 30 years or something. And I try to encourage people to be as much as they can somewhat of a vegan if they can, because I do feel like a whole plant-based diet is probably the most healthy diet. But sometimes people have so many food sensitivities, whatever, they can't even tolerate any food, let alone change their diet. So it's step. What I do is tailor to the individual. And that's what's different. So not everyone who has asthma gets the same sensitivities. Everyone could be different. Everyone has fatigue, might have different sensitivities. You can even be sensitive to a virus you might have had when you were a kid. Somehow you're still reacting to it. Isn't that interesting? That's some of the stuff that I have found too and work with that is so important in clearing and supporting people in their overall health. And now, after many years, I'm teaching again. I used to teach to hundreds and hundreds of people and healthcare, but I'm teaching this to everyone because I have seen so many people, even though don't have much of a medical education, able to do my work at home and help themselves and their family. It's wonderful. So I'm open to teaching whoever wants to learn this ECM method.
How inspiring is that? 'Cause I know a lot of people do want to take control of their own healing,
Yes.
and so many of us don't know even where to start.
Yeah, I think after COVID, that was one of the things that I've learned is people came a little bit frustrated with so many of the medical systems and so many things that were true that they found out weren't true. And it's nobody's fault. It was all so new and it was thrown against us and thrown out and and nobody knew what to do. So, but I felt like people in some way became very strong and felt they needed to take it into their own hands and help themselves. And it's interesting because the whole time during COVID, I don't think my practice changed at all. I know a lot of doctors, it made a big difference in their practice. I think I had more people than ever because I think people appreciated what this work is about, appreciated some of the things that I have recommended over the years, and appreciated the fact that they can help themselves and help their family just with simple things that could not hurt them. That's the thing about ECM, about enzymes, they're totally safe. And my website, drellencutler.com, you can find out so much more about enzymes. And what's exciting is my book, Micro Miracles, Discover the Healing Power of Enzymes, is been updated and released any day. And it's all about enzymes and more about it. And I have a whole chapter on post-pandemic enzymes and a whole new chapter that highlights more about anti-aging and enzyme use. So I think people are going to really love the book. The book was one of my bestsellers, and this book is even more exciting because it's so much more updated too with all that I do.
How exciting is that? My goodness. And I know you've had such great success with the work that you do. Is there a story that you can share with us?
Well, yeah, I can share so many stories. So I had, and this actually, her, I have her video on I don't know why I thought about her, but I have her videos on my website to listen to even more about it. So I had a patient come to see me a few years ago that had severe respiratory problems, asthma, and she was exposed to mold which caused some lung bronchial damage. And which is a huge one, by the way, for people who do have asthma. Mold is a big sensitivity and something I've worked with very successfully. So anyway, she went to Stanford because she lives around there. And after diagnosis and testing, They said the only option was to have surgery on one of her lungs and remove part of the lung, which, can you imagine? She was 40 something years old and, oh, you need your lung removed or part of your lung removed. I mean, and of course she went to Stanford thinking, they know what they're doing. I mean, Stanford, right? So she looked at him and she said, you know what? I think I need another opinion. So then she went to someone else that did more natural holistic medicine. And he and I know each other, and he evaluated her and did some work. And then she was going out with a patient, a long-term patient of mine. I hadn't seen him in a long time, but a very famous author who lives in my area, who used to come see me. And he said, calls me up. I remember I was in Whole Foods shopping, and he said, Dr. Ellen, please talk to my girlfriend right now. She needs your help. They want to remove part of her lung. So I talked to her, and I got her in and found all these sensitivities. And one of the big ones were foods and mold. And I said, look, Laureen, because I can say her name because she's on the video. We're going to work with you with the ECM of clearing your sensitivity, your reactivity to the mold, and other things I found when I evaluated her too. Well, not only doesn't she never had a lung removed, she is asthma free. She would cough all the time, hardly coughs. Every once in a while she might get a virus, but she knows what to do, and I work with her. It's been maybe 7 years now, completely free of that. And that's just one example. I have so many other amazing miracles, but it was incredible. I mean, they would have taken out her lung or part of her lung, and we saved her life, basically,
Wow.
And she went back to them later on and said, you know what? Listen to my lungs. Her lungs are completely fine, which is incredible. It's really a great story. I have so many like that. I've had great results with migraines, with all the intestinal, inflammatory bowel, irritable bowel, leaky gut, fatigue, skin eczema, female problems, and my whole situation too was a miracle as well. So it's so that's one of many, and honestly, I don't give up unless I get good results. So if they stay with me, I won't give up. And that's what I teach. But honestly, sometimes, just like we said, just helping the detoxification process, just clearing sensitivity to foods with my clearing technique and taking the enzyme makes such a big difference.
Now, let's say someone's taking your ECM method course. How do they have to have any medical experience or background to do that?
This point, I'm just teaching whoever wants to learn. And more often than not, the people that do want to study with me do have a degree in health in some ways. But I have just started to do that. And I've been so amazed and so overwhelmed with how well these people with no medical knowledge, how well they're doing with the technique. And then they call me and ask me questions, and I think that you'd be surprised how much more people who want to study with me, you'd be surprised how much more they actually know, because they've always been more into this kind of study, learning about holistic health in some way. You'd be surprised how much they know when they actually start working with me. I'm so impressed with them, and it's actually very exciting, and I love it. Like next teaching, a doctor of mine, a friend of mine, referred me this little young boy that is like a bubble boy, and this work has just changed their family's life. And he pleaded with me to see this little boy, because my practice is pretty filled up for years and years. That's why I want to teach, so I can refer people to other people. And I said, okay, I will take him on. And the mother now already is ready to learn, because my next clearing is October. She's so excited. about it because she sees how much you need and she says, I just want to learn it. That's what happens too, Marianne. I notice when people work with me, they want to learn this. They say, I want to learn because we do have miracles, which is, I know it's hard to say and maybe some people won't believe it, but I see it every week in my practice. I've seen it for years and years. And I love what I do. And I know it's right. I just know it's right because I see how it works and how it flows and how I have these aha moments and people light up. And, sometimes too, when I'm working with people, just telling them, just them learning what's going on helps them feel better. Sometimes just the knowledge of it is very interesting. That's a whole other talk in itself that we could talk about, but it's fascinating.
My goodness, I was just so impressed with how you bring this all together, and it's in a way I think a lot of people are, they're dealing with the brain fog and
Right.
bloating, and it's and you break it down in a way that I don't think I've seen other people do it in the way that you have.
Like I had this woman today who, and I work with a Zoom, which is great because I had even did it before COVID. So I was doing Zoom. I said, I have to try because I have people from all over the world. I have to try to work it out so they don't have to come here because it's not easy. And like I had this woman that we found, crazy enough, a parasite. And it does, my work doesn't diagnose. I don't say I diagnose, but I found a reactivity parasite she might have had for years was related to, interesting enough, a spike in her glucose during the night, which caused some hypertension and some problems with waking up and some brain fog, because you mentioned brain fog, and working to clear the parasite and maybe using some different, like I have other supplements that have enzymes in it that I might use. She's doing so much better. And she said, you want to hear this? She said, my sleep apnea now is completely gone just by working on these like parasites. Who would ever think that parasites was related to a spike in glucose? Never. That's the kind of stuff I find that nobody would ever find because you can't do this without some kind of an evaluation process that I've created through an amazing program and the programmer who works with me in this technique, and it's always advancing. Literally, I never know what I'm going to find. It's amazing. And people say, how did you know that? And I said, well, this is the work. This is the technique.
With your years of experience and knowledge on this, because everyone is so different. You're
Yes,
not using like this cookie cutter approach to
right.
dealing with someone's asthma or someone's
Hmm.
bloating. You're really looking at them as a whole person.
And it's fun, and it's it really is not about just giving a medicine or a supplement or like, people look at these labs and will take this, but that might not be the best thing for that person. They might, like, for example, there was lots of new data on taurine, which is an amino acid. They say now it's the breakthrough amino acid. Everybody should take it. It's anti-aging. It's for the mitochondria, help you lose weight or whatever. And you know what? It might work for some, but I don't find it on everyone they need it. And sure enough, I read something else that said, that it's not really that well absorbed. So people are going to take all this, but it's just going to come right out of their kidneys anyway. So you know what's better? Digest your food and you're going to get those amino acids that you need. That's much better. Doesn't that sound much better than taking something? I remember I used to have people come in with a suitcase of supplements. And besides the fact of being expensive, they're more bloated and more toxic and more unhappy about all these supplements. It's overwhelming, you know.
Hmm.
And I love taking people off of also many of the supplements they take. Some are important, obviously, like vitamin D is important, B12 is important for vegans, and maybe probiotic for some. Everyone does well in a digestive enzyme. Everybody needs that. Because also the soil now is bereft of many of the enzyme minerals that because we're shortage of certain minerals that's why when in our plants we're not getting the enzymes that help us digest anymore. So because of agriculture and what's gone on with our soil, we don't make the enzymes that we need for digestion of all the different food groups. So that's why the digestive enzymes. So like I said, we're not vitamin deficient. Most of the time we're enzyme deficient.
Well, Dr. Ellen, can you share your website one more time where people can connect with you and make appointments and learn more about your work?
Yes. My website is drellencutler.com. And my YouTube video is Dr. Ellen Cutler. And my Facebook page is Micro Miracles. And I always do every Monday, I do a Miracle Monday. So I give all kinds of little tips and tidbits and I'm open to people asking me questions on my website, and I'll come up with things I will post and answer them. And we're really good at answering and getting back to you too. And if people like to learn, my next seminar is October. We have a few openings for some people that are interested in learning ECM. And I have some good digestive enzymes I recommend too on my website if you're interested as well. So please, love to hear from you guys out there.
Well, Dr. Ellen, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
This was great. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you, Dr. Ellen Cutler. It has been such an honor to spend this time with you and to talk about your technique, ECM. Again, if you'd like to connect with Dr. Ellen Cutler, you can at her website, drellencutler.com. On that note, we're going to pause here for a quick break, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Hello, Dr. Cutler here. Do you experience bloating, heartburn, food craving, bowel irregularity, food sensitivities, weight issues? If you do not digest your food, you may be deficient in macronutrients, which your body needs for optimal health. DrEllenCutler.com teaches that this is an enzyme deficiency. I believe the most important supplement is a full spectrum digestive enzyme, Dr. Ellen's Way Digestive Enzymes. Hear more about it at DrEllenCutler.com.
Are you chasing profitability yet losing fulfillment? Let me introduce you to your solution, the Relaunch Company. I'm Hillary DeCesar, an entrepreneurial performance coach, fearless leader of the Relaunch Company, here to help put the pedal to the metal and relaunch your business your way. Visit www.therelaunch.com. Take the free quiz to learn 3 steps towards waving goodbye to burnout and hello to success.
The book Terminal Cancer is a Misdiagnosis, authored by Danny Carroll, is on sale at Amazon now. Licensed psychologist and psychotherapist Tessa Antia-John-Guerra commented, "This is one of the most empowering books on a topic of cancer you will ever read." Award-winning author T.L. Needham commented, "This recommended book can be understood by anyone seeking answers, hope, and alternatives to a terminal diagnosis. Buy it now on Amazon.com.
Are you feeling disconnected from your life and your body as a woman? Do you feel numb emotionally and/or sexually and just not sure how to feel really alive again, or maybe for the first time? Are you struggling with body and self-acceptance, especially during menopause? If you'd like to reclaim your feminine and learn more about women and gynecology and how it can help empower your life, contact Gina Cloud at www.ginacloud.com.
I'd like to thank Jason Eastwood at Guitarfulness for sharing his inspiring music and talent with us. His music is known worldwide for cultivating atmospheres of harmony, inner peace, and clarity. Visit Jason's website at guitarfulness.com. Join his newsletter, be part of his community, and download his music. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. You've been listening to Moments with Mary Ann, where we make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.